Hello, my lovely Toads and Toad Rules is here with another Mario Kart stream and is eating M&Ms because he was just barely made the time. So, here we are again with the Mario Kart ranking series. Should probably put my headphones in. Wow, I'm doing a really good job, aren't I? Oh yeah, I also rewatched the previous streams and realized I've been speaking in a really monotone way. I haven't been intending this, but I guess this is how it is come across. I don't know, I'm sorry. I'll try to add a bit more energy into my speech this time around, but in general, when I get nervous, it's hard for me not to speak monotone. A few other things to note. This is the song ranking and this is the track ranking. Oh god, I forgot to rename the video. Every time. Anyway. So, yeah, this is the what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. I re-edited the lists. I revised them a bit off screen because I looked back at it and I realized that I may not fully agree with the placements of certain songs, and certain tracks, so I did a bit of revising to get rid of some of those awkward clumps where my opinions kind of wane a bit to make them a bit more natural. For example, Sky High Sunday, I've re-listened to a few times, and I can safely say I do actually think it is a solid bop, even if I don't like the track. But speaking of track, it's time to move on to the first track of the video. So all the way down to... Oh yeah, we're starting off on a high note. Chick-fil-A. I mean, everyone loves Chick-fil-A, right? If you don't, then you're an idiot.
Not how you would have done it. You bundle things right, and that's...
Why do you do this? I clicked the timestamp, you played an ad, and then you didn't even go to the timestamp. Anyway, Amsterdam Drift. Already, and while it looks really simple, it actually does look pretty nice. Though the NPCs are massive. But anyway, just a nice little fucking jaunt. You go over a train. You can love that. Or a monorail. Go through a field of windows. This is pretty nice. There's still not really much to talk about in terms of actual track layout, but it is a city track. I'm not really sure what to comment on in terms of amazing track design when they just looked at a map and said this is a good place to race. But then you get to go underwater, and that's actually really cool. It feels like such a natural addition of underwater driving, which is something I feel like this game kind of desperately needs. Then leading to a bunch of turns. Yeah! That section's really fun, and they clearly realized... Oh yeah, that's awesome. You get to go a different direction every time you approach that. But yeah, they clearly realized that the river was the best part, because then you get to drive through it again for a very brief window, but it's still fun. Plus then you get to go into the field to copy and paste flowers, which, say what you will, but it does actually look fairly lovely. A few of these turns seem a little sharp for normal racing, but I feel like it makes up for it by just being really pleasant. Overall, for the Tour City track standards, it's actually fairly solid. Probably the best Tour City track we've had thus far. Let me just... Yeah. Not a single Tour City track has made it into A tier yet. This may be the first, but I still think that there are enough flaws to leave it in B tier. But it is a fairly high B tier. I do quite like it. In fact, if Baby Park is an A tier, this is also an A tier. There. Nah. Okay, I'm just gonna put it there. I know that there's gonna be some awkward clumps, but that's just what's gonna have to happen. What about the music, though? Is the music any good? Just like, is this... Okay, good. The music! I probably... There we go. Hiding in plain sight. I mean, how could you not love that? I often debated between Sydney Sprint, Berlin Byways, and this song as to what my favorite the Tour City songs is. For now, I'm gonna say Amsterdam Drift, but honestly, maybe it's a bit weaker than Sydney Sprint. I don't know. These three are all so close for me. If you're gonna think of it, I rank them all pretty high, but they're all really good. So, A tier is once again growing, though it actually shrank since last time because I decided that Dolphin Shoals does belong in S tier. And that said, I was also way too generous on Wario Stadium. The more I re-listen to that one, the more I can't stand it. I can see why others may like it. I just personally find that remix to be really annoying. I'm gonna play it normally because timestamps are frustrating as heck for some reason. Speaking of which, next up, Riverside Park. So, in a lot of aspects, this may be my favorite wave in the Booster Course Pass. But I gotta admit that there are a few duds, and I feel like this one is definitely one of the big ones for me. I don't know why fans were clamoring for Riverside Park and Lakeside Park to return so much. I personally find them both to be kind of eh. Lakeside Park was definitely the better of the two, though, which is why it's weird they returned Riverside. Especially since it's so late in the Booster Course Pass. Like, maybe if this was one of the first tracks, I'd be a bit more accepting. But this is all the way... in Wave 4. This feels a little too basic for that way. Except for that turn. That turn's shockingly difficult. But, yeah, the Patuis are a really nice touch, though. I love how instead of just using a generic enemy, they create a completely new enemy all for this track, which is actually really cool. So it is a really I can see others quite liking this one, and I can see a decent amount of effort put into it, but I still don't think that this one really gets much of a reaction out of me. I feel like that's a good spot for it, yeah. So, what about the music, though? I've heard some say that the music's pretty good. What do I think? I will say that I do like how they kept in the wacky instrument choices from the original. Wow, was that like actually a bit of melody? The GBA version would have never done that. Like, it's good when it gets started, as you'll hear, but for me it just takes way too long to get started. The beginning is just kind of eh. I know, the perfect tier for a track theme like this. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. This doesn't really get much of a reaction out of me. It gets good, but by the time it does, I feel like I've already started checking out. So yeah, not really a huge fan of that one. If you are, though, I don't blame you, because I can see a decent amount of effort put into it. I just personally think it's kind of eh. Now for... Oh, yes. DK Summit, or as this says, DK Snowboard Cross. The European name. I was so excited to see this one return. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I love this one on the Wii. You know, I never really played much of Wii unless I was really, really young. And don't really remember. I remember getting stuck in the mushroom shortcut portion of Coconut Mall, but not much else at that time period. But what I do know is that when I went to play some Mario Kart Wii custom tracks, especially the music of this track really stood out to me. But I mean, just look at how awesome this is. I love how that 1, 2, 3 go is timed with going out of the cannon so perfectly. Yeah. And I mean, just look at this. It gives such a cool vibe. I will say, I hope that they actually use the half pipes because, I don't know, I feel like now people realize the half pipes are slower and thus no one wants to use them, but like, the half pipes are kind of this track's identity. If you don't use them, then you're not gonna have as much fun. Like, surely is at least gonna use them in this section. Nope. Okay. I don't know. I feel like that modern philosophy kind of, it doesn't really hinder this track, it just hinders my enjoyment of the fan base. But I do quite like it. The half pipes, if you would have gone off of them, you would have seen that they're not quite as satisfying as they are in the original, but the overall aesthetic of this track more than makes up for it. Just a really good choice for this. Why the heck did I put Boo Lake over Shroom Rage and Electrodrome and Wild Woods and Big Blue and Muke City and all of these? Anyway, DK Summit, I mean, I'm not really sure what else to say other than it's just really good. That seems a little high, though. Let me just... Actually, you know what? It is a good Wii track, so yeah, top of the list is perfect. It's just a really fun track. I really have a lot of fun every time I play it. And that's just... This wave has actually been starting off really dang strong. What about the music, though? Is it as good as the Wii version? Just feel that adventure. It just feels like you're going on a journey just listening to it. I love it. Yeah, that placement does seem a little high, though. I mean, over Maple Treeway. Yeah, but I do still think it belongs in S tier. It hits in just the right way. Maybe it does belong over Maple Treeway. I'm just gonna... Yeah. I'll probably disagree with myself later, but for now, that seems like a good spot for it. Just such a beautiful song. almost feels like a symphony just to listen to. And then we end off on one of the best notes that they could have with this game's version of Yoshi's Island. Oh, the view history is backloaded, go figure. Anyway, Yoshi's Island. You probably heard, but it actually had a different intro cue. Just, I mean, the first few seconds, there's already so much whimsy. But that almost sent him off the edge. Yeah. Going up a mountain. Going to the clouds. Remember when I complained that Hyrule Circuit didn't have enough visual variety? This is what I'm talking about. This track is just constantly sending you to new locations. Also, that question mark thing back there, if you would have hit that, then a bridge would have formed that would have taken you, that would have given you a shorter route to the exit. That is such a cool detail. So, yeah. I don't think it's quite S tier like a lot of people do, but I do still think it is a really good remake. Or it is a really good track on its own. Definitely deserving of at least A tier. And that music, I mean, it is the Yoshi's Island Athletic theme, so obviously it's gotta be amazing, right? I gotta stop myself because I could listen to this for hours. I gotta say, they have been knocking it out of the park with the music so far. Like, this is probably the best wave that we had in a while for music. And in general, this has just been off to a really strong start, and it just gets stronger. So let's see. Can we keep up the momentum? Next up is Bangkok Rush. This one, for some reason, of all of the Tour City tracks, this is the one that I find myself forgetting about the most. Not because it's bad, but because, I don't know, something about it just never really clicked with me. But I don't think it's a bad track. I do actually think it does have a lot going for it. It's just, I think it's just around the middle for me in terms of Tour City tracks. Like, the part where you go down the river is actually genuinely pretty cool. And then the part where you go out of bounds, that's so awesome. This has something that I praise Amsterdam Drift for. Variety. You're never in the same spot for too long. Wow, that part is very familiar. You'll see what I mean when we get to the final track of this wave. Like, there's just so many locations that you go to in this one. We haven't even gotten to the best part yet. This part right here, there's just something about bouncing on the tops of all of these tents that's so awesome feeling. Actually, that's the one complaint that I have with this track. I almost wish that that section was longer because of just how fun it is, but as you just saw it, you kind of just do it for a few seconds and then it's already done. It does feel like the fitting climax to this track, don't get me wrong, but like, yeah. So, that was Bangkok Rush. Despite the fact that I constantly forget about this one, I actually quite like it. Definitely going over Amsterdam Drift. I think right here seems like a good spot for it. It's still not my first choice. Actually, I think it's going to go under Amsterdam Drift, since Amsterdam Drift just has this really cozy feeling to it. Whereas Bangkok Rush is technically better designed, but I just find it to be less engaging, personally. Maybe that's just me, though. I don't know. My opinion isn't fact anyway. What about the music, though? I mean, it sounds nice. I actually really like this part. I feel similarly to the music as I feel to the track. I'm not sure why, but for some reason I just don't really care for it that much. I do still like it. It is a solid foot tapper, but actually looking at all of these, I don't think it... Like, maybe here is a good spot for it? I don't know. It's just not really anything that stands out to me in the sea of this game's songs. So that's Bangkok Rush. It's a good track, but it's one that I feel like I'm already going to forget about everything that happened a few seconds later. Which is less about this track and more about me. Oh god. This cup was so close to being perfect, but now I gotta vent about DS Mario Circuit. I mean, this is a similar case to Toad Circuit where it's less about what the track is and more about what it represents, because like, imagine how much cooler Mario Circuit would have, because like, we could have gotten Airship Fortress, Delfino Square, probably others that I'm forgetting, like Luigi's Mansion. I could probably just sit here and think, because pretty much any track choice would have been better than Mario Circuit. Especially since the fact that this hasn't been retroed means that if they do make a Mario Kart 9, then they'll be retroing from the previous game. So you can't even really give them that. This choice just annoys the heck out of me. I will say though, the fire spinning piranha plants are a pretty cool obstacle. And I do like that they made this section in the woods. It actually starts off really strong, but afterwards it just kind of falls off for me. And I think I know why. I'm not a fan of this set of turns right here. I just find it to be really annoying to drive on. Which, I know some people will disagree with me because a lot of people like DK Mountain, which also has turns like that, and we'll get to my opinions on that when we get to them. This track ranks really low. I'm really torn on where I'm going to rank this one, honestly. Because, like, on the one hand, what it represents is kind of terrible, but on the other hand, it's not like it's a terrible track on its own. I feel like low C tier is definitely a good spot for it. This seems right to me. This is fine. So then what about the music? I mean, the track itself is just kind of eh. The music, though. I will say that the song does have a certain charm to me. Like, it's not one of the best circuit themes ever written or anything, but it's just charming. I don't know. I actually like how they leaned into the electronic synthy sound. It really helps make this one stand out and not just sound like the same kind of stuff that we usually get with the circuit theme. I don't know, it just has a nice funky fresh vibe to it. Still not A tier though. I feel like maybe here. That seems like a good spot for it. Well, I do like the funky fresh vibe. I don't think it's anything all that special. So, yeah. Not really a huge fan. And, yeah. Next up, we get one of the fan favorites, GCN Waluigi Stadium. I mean, first of all, just look at this. This doesn't even look like it's in the same game as the previous tracks we've been looking at. Look at it, looks so grand and amazing. Anyway. So yeah. As you can see, there's a lot of tricks and stuff. Also, for some reason they lean those up. Not really sure why, but it doesn't kill it. Also, as you can see, there's plenty of alternate paths if you take the half pipes just right. Which is actually pretty dang cool. But of course, he's barely not going to show that off because apparently whoever made this video hates fun. But yeah. I mean, it's the same great track that you know and love from Double Dash. I personally never really got why this track is as popular as it is. Like, I do still like it. I think it's a solid A tier, but it's never really been one of my absolute favorites. To be fair, though, I may just not really think Double Dash has that strong of a track selection in general, as you can see by two of the bottom ones of A tier being from Double Dash. Yeah. Though I guess it does belong above these. Yeah, that seems like a better spot for it. What about the music, though? I'm not really a huge fan of like, I think it's the saxophone that they use as the main instrument. Am I the only one that feels like some kind of brass instrument would have worked a lot better? Like a trumpet or, like, trumpets or something? Also, that part doesn't really harmonize as well as I would have expected. Unfortunately, with the downgrades, I think it's in a... With the downgrades, I just don't think it's quite as exciting as the Double Dash version. So, maybe... here? Man, that still seems a little high. Yeah, that seems fine. It's a good song, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think it's as strong as it could have been. Yeah, got another unpopular Double Dash opinion out of the way. I seem to be full of those. But we have one last track to look at, and my god, did they end this on a high note. Look at this opening. Does this look like a tour track to you? Like, yeah, the colors are still simple and all, but they're just so bright and vibrant that you don't even care about how simple they look. It's so awesome. Look at that neon cannon that you shoot out of. And you get to drive on this awesome pool. That pool is one of the best looking parts of the Booster Course Pass, by the way. It was the first time in the entire Booster Course Pass where I was like, I want that. And there's these awesome neon rings. The track leaves such a strong first impression, and you know what the best part is? That was the weakest of the 3 laps. Then you go through Chinatown, which this section isn't that interesting, but you know, it's a nice change of scenery at the very least. It even has its own variation of the music. And then you get to go off of these awesome rainbow-looking geysers, or just miss them. And then you hit this nice section with the different split roads that can take you faster. I love how it actually encourages you to take an outwards path, because that's where the arrows are pointed. More great visuals that the blooper ink is covering. Then you get to go off of these fans. More rings as you glide down. I love how it keeps evolving on itself, taking gliders through these super neon rings and such. It's already cool at the start, but it just keeps building and building to be something amazing. The one nitpick that I have with this track, though, I'm not sure why you go back through Chinatown. That's like the one complaint that I have with it. The Chinatown section was kind of cool the first time, but the second time it's like, yeah, I don't know. I felt like it already showed how cool it was, and it didn't need to do that again. Wow. That person just got Mario Karted. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to say other than this is the best Tour City track. There is no questions in my mind about it. It's probably the only Tour City track that I'd put in that I could, without a question, without a shadow of a doubt, put in A tier. I'm not exactly sure where. I feel like it's another track that I feel is a kind of vibes track, since admittedly it's not that big on the substance, but it still has enough substance to put it as probably the best vibes track in the game. But what about the music? Does the music live up to the hype of the actual track itself? I mean, how can you not love this? And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows just how long it needs to be to stay awesome the entire time. Yeah, top of A tier. I don't think it's quite S tier worthy, just like the track itself. But this track has such a good average. Honestly, ask me tomorrow, I may end up putting this even higher. It is just so good. And with that out of the way, I guess that ends the stream. So, I hope you guys enjoyed and have the best day. Have the best day, especially knowing that Singapore Speedway is in this game. Yeah.